oil checkers, and welcome back to the Oil Check podcast, not a podcast on YouTube. This is the Oil Check, the Rona special, number 8. And again, we are discussing UFC 251. But this time, it is the return of game-bred street Jesus himself, Jorge Masvidal. That's what we're going to be talking about. But more importantly, a very, very first for the Oil Check is the return of one of our previous guests. So, obviously, a big, massive welcome back to my good friend and Cagewarriors commentator extraordinaire, Mr. Brad Wharton. How the devil are you, my friend?
I am not doing bad. I'll tell you what, a lot better than last time we did this, when we had to scratch around in somebody's storeroom in a sports centre in Wales.
Well, that was it. Do you know what? That was it. So this is one of the reasons that I wanted to get you back on, is because obviously you were on the podcast a few years ago, and it was, like you say, in a back room somewhere in the Newport Centre. You know, and it was, we only spoke to you for about 10, 15 minutes, and we didn't really get the best out of yourself, or, you know, the podcast itself. It was a bit of a sort of cobble together. So hopefully, you know, we can spend a bit of time now. We can go over a few bits, and you know, we're going to talk about the usual shit. So it's obviously, you know, we've got news and shit. We've got some Cunt of the Week nominations, and we've got MMA and shit. We're obviously going to make some predictions again for UFC 251. So what happened is, we did last week, I don't know if you saw, we had Charlie Leary on, Bellator fighter Charlie Leary, and we went through the UFC 251 card because there was a bit of a break before the Fight Island started. But then, obviously, the big news dropped that Burns got the Rona, and that now Jorge Masvidal, like the fucking legend that he is, has stepped in. So we're going to talk all about that and my particular large-scale man love for Jorge Masvidal. So before we go any further, though, as always, the Oil Check is sponsored by Fight Central. Please do go to their website, which is www.fight-central.co.uk. Fight Central are purveyors of all. So, you know, boxing gloves, Muay Thai gloves, MMA gloves, shin guards, you know, all fight apparel. You get yourself down to Fight Central. And if, when you've chosen your items, you get to the checkout, you can use the discount code, the Oil Check, and that will give you 10% of anything on the site. So that is our top quality sponsor, Fight Central. That's fight-central.co.uk. Discount code, the Oil Check, for 10% off. So please do support the podcast, and please do support Fight Central. And if you want to contact the Oil Check for anything at all, you want to suggest things that we talk about, you want to complain about shit we've talked about, you want to just call me a cunt, it's not a problem. You can do so on telephone or text on 07510 954 793. You can email us on theoilcheck@hotmail.com, and you can contact us on social media. That's Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram at the Oil Check. So that's also, well, I say all social media, only the adult ones. We don't do Snapchat or TikTok like fucking kids. So Instagram, Twitter, and Facebook at the Oil Check. Okay, so that's the boring stuff down. So, like I said, Brad, how special do you feel being the first returnee guest on the Oil Check?
Well, my mum always told me I was special, so, you know, it's just another day in the life of
well, what can I say? So where are you right now? Are you at home, yeah?
Well, no, I was actually supposed to be travelling home yesterday, but my plans changed, so I'm still actually at my my girlfriend's new house. So I am in sunny Bromley, which I believe is somewhere south of London, but I didn't do very well at geography in school. So
no, my auntie lives in Bromley, so I know exactly where that is. Yeah, and yeah, basically like sort of like, you know, it's, they say southeast Croydon. Yeah. You know, like sort of Croydon-y way kind of thing like that. So yeah, not a problem. I know exactly where you are. And so how has the dreaded lockdown been treating you? Have you been working? Have you been furloughed? What's the crack?
Well, I've been doing a little bit of writing here and there still. Like, luckily, I've got that to kind of turn my hand to. But just been living that furlough lifestyle, basically. I mean, yeah, I set myself some like specific gains that I wanted to make, but so far it's just been like one jean size up. So
I was gonna say what waistline? I'm a
yeah,
fat cunt, me. So I was doing really well, training for that boxing match, and then the middle of March I got my fucking face caved in, didn't I? So like obviously as soon as that, I'm sure the people, the regular listeners, are fucking sick of hearing me tell this story. But yeah, so basically middle of March I got my eye fucking socket caved in, and went from being on a strict no carb diet and training 6 days a week to eating donuts and doing fuck all. So all of the weight I lost in the first 10 weeks. Like I lost like 30 pounds in the first 10 weeks of the year, and I was like, fucking come on! And then I put all that back on and more, and I'm an extra double fat bastard. So I am so desperate to get back into training. It's unbelievable.
Yeah, I downloaded the old the Couch to 5K app the other day, but it's been Couch to 5K so far.
Couch to fuck all. No, I know quite a few people that have used that. Apparently, it's supposed to be quite good, but you know, you do have to actually use it.
Yeah. I'll stuff it to the dog or something, send him off.
Yeah. So obviously, apart from like so obviously apart from being furloughed, normal job, not doing much, you got a bit of writing. Is there any light at the end of the tunnel with regards to MMA work coming up? So, I mean, tell our viewers, who you generally work for. Obviously, Cagewarriors is the main one, but you do some smaller shows at FCC, I think, is another one of your particular favourites. Tell us who you've been working for over the last year or so.
Yeah, so I mean, as you say, Cagewarriors is obviously my main gig. That's the one that I have to kind of prioritise. You know, they're doing like 12 to 15 shows a year, so they all go in the diary first, and then FCC, which I've been doing since 2011, run by a good friend of mine, Adam Tay. And then I just I try and fit in whatever I can, really. Like, it's obviously difficult to plan in advance because, you know, I get the Cagewarriors dates maybe 3 months beforehand, so I can't really commit to doing other stuff because I end up letting people down. You know, Jack Mason has me on the Cagewarriors Academy whenever they don't clash with the main Cagewarriors show, and I do Shock and Awe on the South Coast as well. And I've done some of the other Cagewarriors Academy stuff and just random shit that comes in. Like, I got shout the other week to do like Belarus fighting championships or something, which was fine because it was like from an office in London. But then you hear afterwards that like they actually want to bring people to Belarus who've had like no fucking COVID protection, no social distancing, no lockdown, and every cunt's dying from it. So I thought I'd fucking give that one a little swerve. But yeah, no, at the end of the tunnel, obviously, like Cagewarriors are back in September. And we're doing like 3 shows back to back. So we're doing Thursday, Friday night, Saturday night, all up in Bowlers in Manchester. Obviously, like as it stands now, behind closed doors because we're not allowed to have people in, and we've got to do like a full quarantine thing, like kind of like we're doing on Fight Island at the moment. So, as I say, first fight Thursday, I've got to be there Monday morning, take a COVID test, and then quarantine in my room till Wednesday when the result comes back, and then assuming that everything's good, I can then go to the shows on Thursday. So still a little while away yet, but looking forward to it.
Well, I mean, let's just hope that no one pings, innit? Yeah. So if they bring someone in on Monday and they fucking come back pinged on Wednesday with a positive for the Rona, they're going to be fucked, aren't they? You know what I mean? Like, obviously, you know, touch and wood, but like, you know, you are a key fucking part of the show. And if heaven forbid something happened to you, they'd be pretty fucked because they couldn't bring anybody else in. I mean, don't get me wrong. I'm pretty sure they'd slide Ian Dean into your chair, you know. But yeah, you know, it's fucking, I mean, but you know, what else can they do? You know what I mean? It sounds like, you know, they're trying, it's fucking, I mean, a lot of it's fucking bullshit, to be honest with you. And it's very fucking, you know, it's very much, you know, a false sense of security and stuff like that, isn't it? And but you know, on the other hand, you know, look at, you know, the way the UFC have been going. You know, you had Jacare ping, you've had Burns ping, you know, but what it proves is it proves that the protocols that they've got in place are actually working. You know, so it's not like they've had anyone ping after the fucking fact everyone that's pinged is pinged beforehand, and they've managed to get rid of it in quarantine. So yeah, they've done a very, very good job. And obviously, with Cagewarriors' very close ties to the UFC, I'm pretty sure that they're probably going to be following, learning from the UFC's example. And I'm pretty sure that they'll, look, Graham knows what he's fucking doing.
Yeah. Well, this thing, like, we did that behind closed doors show in March, and that was basically all we had to go on was, Graham had to speak to the medical team and say, what should we do? There was no guidelines then about testing or putting people into quarantine. That was before the country actually went into lockdown. So it was all like, well, what do? We just got to figure it out and just do what the doctors say. Now, at least, we've got an idea, like, we know what the UFC's done. And like you say, Cagewarriors are obviously quite closely tied to the UFC, and there's going to be a lot of people watching it, and you just don't want to be the show that fucks up, do you? So, if it means sitting in a hotel room and putting a lot of porn on the old fucking bill for a week, who am I to complain? I
don't know about you. I don't know about you, mate. I normally watch porn for about 4 minutes, and I'm fucking done with it. Like, honestly, that's about 4, maybe 6 minutes. You know what I mean? Like, I've said this before. I sometimes watch porn, and I'm sometimes finished before they get their clothes off.
When he's still talking about the plumbing job.
Yeah. I've come to fix your plumbing. I'm like, well, I'm fucking done, mate. I'm going to sleep now. I'm just hoping
I'm not sharing a room with Josh again, because it's going to get really fucking awkward.
Why?
Well, if I'm cracking one out and he's sat in bed next to me.
Oh, what, fucking Palmer?
Yeah.
Oh, I'm sure he'd love that. Bradley, I can't believe you're doing such a thing. Yeah, fucking posh Jarma. So let's taking a step back. So you, like myself, have been around the MMA scene for a long, long time, and even before the UK, you were lurking around the scene in Holland because you used to live in Holland.
Yeah.
So, talk to me. When did you first get into it? What was your first show? Describe the scene in Holland back in the day.
Well, with Holland, they're obviously a big kickboxing country, right? So, what sort of happened with MMA over there was that it kind of came in through like that. There was some guys who'd been over and competed in rings in Japan.
Yeah.
And they kind of came over, brought MMA back with them. And what you started to see was you go to Thai boxing shows and there'd be like a couple of MMA fights, like kind of mixed in. They called them mixed fights or free fights. I think mixed fight that came from like Russia.
Yeah.
The sort of Dutch European style, they called it free fight. So it started off, a lot of it was like, there was no gloves, but you couldn't punch, which they took from like rings and pancrase. So you had to stop
with the open hand strikes and that, yeah.
And so you would get loads of eye pokes and stuff, because obviously guys are punching like that, and I've seen some poor guys get their eyes absolutely shredded, and then loads of like leg lock guys just coming in and shanking kickboxers basically. So they started to use the rope break thing as well. So if you're in a submission, you could grab the ropes, which was like a weird and wonderful way of seeing things. And then at some point around that time, I got UFC 3 from my video shop. I'd seen Ken Shamrock in the wrestling, obviously, as most people my age probably had. And obviously I'd heard about the UFC, but never seen it, because there was just no way to really at that time for someone my age. I was born in '84, so around 2000, late 90s, 2000, I'd been like 15, 16. So there was no.
You make me feel like a right old cunt.
Sorry. What I'm saying is I had no sources for those dodgy fucking Russian import tapes and stuff at the time. But my video shop guy in Holland was a big combat sports fan, and he had like one rack in his shop with all kickboxing and martial arts DVDs and tapes back then, obviously. And he had UFC 3, so I got UFC 3, and the first fight was Emmanuel Yarbrough, the sumo wrestler, 600 pounds, 6'8", against a 5'8" karate guy who just fucking poleaxed him and beat the absolute fuck out of him. And what people tend to forget is like at that time, like, you didn't in real life. You've seen all the movies and everything, and people have seen boxing and a bit of kickboxing, but everyone's matched up kind of evenly there. So when you see a dude like this and a dude like this, you think the little guy's dead and done for. So just seeing him smash the fuck out of that big dude, I was, holy shit, this is the best thing I've ever seen. And that point,
yeah, I mean, it's sort of it's cemented Keith Hackney as a legend, didn't it?
Dude walked in a fucking vest and tracksuit bottoms, mate. What more do you?
But then it was the next one. It must have been UFC. It was when he fought that fucking Joe son, who was fucking Kim Kemo's fucking coach, and that was when he fucking was punching him in the nuts repeatedly. So he's gone from fucking killing the fucking giant of Emmanuel Yarbrough and fucking being like, you're the fucking giant killer, to then be like, you're the bollock puncher. Yeah, like Keith Hackney fucking, like, and he had a good fucking quality mullet, if memory serves me correctly.
Yes, absolutely. Yeah. and the best thing about the ball punching thing is that Joe's son ended up years and years and years later, he got arrested for something and gave DNA. Well, no, he got arrested for something else. And he gave a DNA sample, and that linked him to a sexual assault.
Ah, right.
Essentially, Keith Hackney repeatedly punched a rapist in the bollocks on live TV. And do you know what I mean? What an entry to your Wikipedia page.
What more can you ask for? So what year was this? What year were you lurking around Holland?
So I moved over there in like Christmas 96, 97. So I started getting like properly into combat sports like late 90s. I'd always like watched boxing and stuff as a kid, like Frank Bruno, and obviously I got into like Prince Nazim and Lennox Lewis and then Ricky Hatton later on. But obviously when you're over in Holland, it's all about the kickboxing. So Ernesto Hoost, Peter Ertz, all those guys. You had your K1 on regular TV over there, so I could watch all like the K1 tournaments. Like pretty much a day after they were on, they actually happened.
Yeah.
And then around 2000, there was a show started called Too Hot to Handle, which was basically like they were trying to be like a low budget European version of Pride. So they had MMA.
I remember it really well. There was some British fighters went out there and fought in Too Hot to Handle.
Paul Cahoon.
Who?
Paul Cahoon.
Yeah, Paul Cahoon. Yeah, and that was like early 2000s, wasn't it? Was that late?
Yeah.
Early 2000s.
Yeah. He fought a big Dutch bodybuilder called Job Castile, who was like 80 pounds heavier than him or something. Beat him twice. That was really cool to see. And then you had all the guys like Gilbert Ivel, Bob Schreiber, and they imported guys as well. So they got I think Too Hot to Handle 1, the main event was Hugo Duarte, who fought Tank Abbott in the UFC. He fought Bob Schreiber, and then Too Hot to Handle 2, they had Gary Goodridge over. So for me, like, I was kind of at that age where I'm like, just getting on the internet, getting on the forums and stuff, and hearing about Pride in the UFC. So these names, like, everyone's seen that Gary Goodridge highlight where he's getting at that guy.
Yeah.
So like, I mean, he fucking won by knee bar, which I wasn't expecting. But like, just getting to see those guys fight in person at quite a young age, that was pretty sweet still. And then Too Hot to Handle just kind of got bigger and bigger. They were selling out the Ahoy in Rotterdam, which is like an 8,000 to 10,000 seat venue. That's where the UFC went when they do the Dutch shows. Yes, just kind of took it from there really. Like, the sad thing about it is obviously I missed out kind of like the glory days of the UK scene. So like I've still got like some big knowledge gaps when it comes to like the early Cagewarriors stuff.
Yeah.
And there's just no real way to get hold of it. Like, it just doesn't seem to be floating around the internet anymore.
It's not floating around the internet, but believe you me, Ian Dean's got a hard drive somewhere with all that shit on. Now, whether he chooses to release it or not, that's a different fucking matter. And I think you would be in a better position to ask. So the first show I ever emceed was Cagewarriors 4. And I did like 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. I did quite a few of them until then they went with I think they went with Ian Freeman after a while. But you know, I'm eternally grateful. You know, me personally, I'll always be eternally grateful to Dougie from Cagewarriors, who gave us me start with a microphone. And, you know, and then it just snowballed from there for me. So I did Cagewarriors 4, and at Cagewarriors 4, Andy Jardine came up to me and said, oh, can you do my show? It's in a few weeks' time. And then it was just boom, 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 boom. And, you know, this was, you know, so Cagewarriors 4 was 2003. And so I'd been following the scene for probably about 18 months, something like that. So I remember, so it was fairly quick, basically. So I'd gone to UFC 38, Brawl at the Albert Hall.
Yes, mate.
So I'd gone. So basically, that was the first ever live MMA event I'd ever gone to, and so I'd been watching it for about a year. So about 18 months previous to that, I had stumbled across a couple of videos at a car boot sale, and they were like fucking WCW Extreme Fighting, or you know, there was one of the Gracies was on, there was Bart Vale, you know, there was like, and there was still fucking.
I know exactly what DVD you're talking about. It's the it's called like Extreme Fighting or something.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
So I basically I was fucking at some car boot sale. It was like 2001, maybe 2001. I've fucking picked, like, and obviously I've heard, you know, this is like, I've always been into my martial arts, and I was a doorman, you know what I mean? So, you know, getting into, you know, I've always fucking been, you know, hanging around people that were fighters and that. A lot of my mates were, you know, pro kickboxers and what have you. And I'd sort of heard about this fucking ultimate fighting, but I didn't really know anything about it. And then, like I say, I'm at this car boot sale, and I've picked up these videos, and like, I'm like, how much do you want for these? And the bloke's like, I want 50 pence. I'm like, fucking sold, you cunt. And yeah, and like took them home and fucking watched them, and I was like, that's the fucking coolest thing I've ever fucking seen. And just fucking continue to watch them on repeat. And then the UFC started coming on Sky Sports. And that was all in the build-up to UFC coming to the Albert Hall. Yeah. So, you know, 2002, I think it was, UFC at the Albert Hall. And then I bought obviously I got the program, and in the back of the program, it was like, come and train with Frank Shamrock. And I was like, I'm going to fucking do that then. So I've turned up at this Frank Shamrock seminar. Fucking Lee Remedios is there. And obviously, this is like the first time I've ever met Lee. The previous time I'd seen him, he was fighting Genki fucking Sudo. And I'm like this, fucking Lee Remedios, hey! And,
love that.
Oh, well, fucking hell. Yeah, and like, so it was, and like, people like, so I met on the train on the way down there, I bumped into Kevin Capel. If you know Kevin Capel, he's a black belt Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu, fights out of Aylesbury with Neil McLeod and all that. He's had a few fights and all that. So yeah, basically bumped into him on the train, got talking to him, and then you know, obviously met a few people at the seminar, and then on the way back from the seminar, some dude was like, oh yeah, there's an internet forum, SF UK. So obviously I've gone straight home and fucking logged on, and that was it. I was fucking in with both, like I was jumped in with both feet, mate. And that was it. And I remember, you know, it's that early fucking passion for the sport. You know, it was just, I was obsessed. Like from the word go, from the word, like that moment that I fucking, you know, that I went to UFC 38, like even before that, you know, it was building up. But like from the moment I logged on to the SF UK forum, I was 24/7 MMA, and I just fucking loved it. And I started training all over London. Started like trained with fucking like down in London Bridge with the Tokai lot. So you know, Ronaldo Campos, you know, fucking you know, people like that. And like, you know, that was like at that gym you had like Lee Remedios again, Jim Zikic. A lot of professional MMA fighters used to go to the wrestling class down there because it was like the best wrestling class in London. And yeah, started training down elite with Dave O'Donnell and Andy Gear. Dave O'Donnell was one of my first coaches, so I got in with a Cage Rage lot, and it was just, and I just fucking went boom. And yeah, it was awesome, man. It was fucking awesome. You know, the UK MMA scene in those first few years was one of the coolest fucking things I've ever experienced in my life, because it was so small and so fucking minor. Everybody knew each other. And it was still at the stage where there was no jealousy. And so everyone tried to help each other out. You know, fucking Cage Rage and Cage Warriors and Extreme Brawl and, you know, Ultimate Combat. They were all friends and they were all like, you know, help each other out with matchmaking and renting cages and fucking this and that and the other. And it was all thingy. And then I remember it was like, it must have been, I don't know, like fucking, like it must have been about 3 years into it. So maybe like, you know, 2006, maybe 3-4 years. I can't remember exactly when it was, but when Cage Rage started getting really fucking big and sort of left Cage Warriors behind, that was when the jealousy started coming in. And then they started cutting each other off quite a lot. And that was the sort of the beginning of the end, really. And then
I like sort of think back to that kind of time. I'd started, I'd moved back to England by that point. So that was kind of when Cage Rage was starting to do Wembley, wasn't it? When they were starting to do Wembley Arena. And obviously, like, if you compare that to any other regional show, and every show in the UK really was a regional show at the time, all of a sudden they're bringing guys in from Pride, and, you know, that arena was packed every time. Like, every time I went to Wembley Arena, it was fucking full.
I mean, I'll never forget it. The first show they ever did at Wembley Arena, obviously they had the anger management cage, so I was part of the cage crew. So we were putting the cage up and down. So we were like VIP fucking, you know, front row seats. So it was fucking brilliant. I'd get down, obviously a bit of hard graft, couple of hours putting the cage up, couple of hours taking it down. You get yourself a couple of quid and you get to sit in the front row and watch the fucking coolest show possibly. And I remember it was like the main event, and I think it was fucking Rob Broughton and James Thompson, if fucking memory serves me correctly. And James Thompson was beating the fucking pieces out of Rob Broughton. And then in the third round, James Thompson gassed and Rob Broughton reversed him and started smashing the cunt out of him. And the entire fucking Wembley Arena went fucking mental. And there was like 7,000-8,000 people jumping up out their seats, fucking screaming. I remember looking round going, fuck me. You know, this is like, you know, from a sports hall in Bracknell, you know what I mean, to fucking Wembley Arena in a matter of a couple of years. It was fucking really impressive, man. Really.
I remember, I want to say it was UFC 70, wasn't it, when they first came back?
Something like that, yeah.
Yeah, and it was Krokov versus Gonzaga. I had tickets to that event up in Manchester, and I was living in Cambridge at the time. And on the week of the fight, so Cage Rage was the same day.
I remember that. Yeah, it was the clash, wasn't it?
So it was supposed to be Gary Turner versus Bob Sapp.
Bob Sapp never showed up, didn't he?
Yeah, it was like
over.
Yeah, so it was like the Thursday. I was on fucking Cagewarriors forum or Sherdog or whatever, and someone's posted, got Tank Abbott instead. And I was like, you know what? Fuck this. I got rid of my UFC tickets, and I was like, when am I ever going to get the chance to see fucking Tank Abbott fight? And oh man, that was another one. If you look back down that card, you know, Vitor Belfort was on it. You had Ninja Hua versus Alex Reed.
Yeah.
Wasn't much of a fight in the end because he cut his leg, I think.
Yeah. It was a fucking bad one, wasn't it?
Had like Mark Weir versus Matsui, James Zikic, Fork Evangelist, the Cyborg, and then just all the British guys on it, like Brad Pickett and Paul Reed fought on that one, I think.
I think they fought in Birmingham, didn't they? I think.
Yeah, sorry. Yeah, I think they were both on that London card. But
yeah. It's just the only reason I know that is because I've got pictures of that event, of the after party of that show in Birmingham, and I've got a picture of both me and with Brad Pickett and a picture of me with Paul Reed. Both of them kicked a fuck.
Yeah.
I smashed the shit out of each other.
Yeah, I went to that Birmingham one as well. One of the worst hangovers in my life at that show. I don't know what the fuck happened. But that was like the thing, wasn't it? Because they were saying like, right, we're going to be moving around the country now and doing. But that was kind of like the beginning of the end for Cage Rage, really, wasn't it? Like they sold to Pro Elite not long after that.
That was it. They got fucked over, didn't they? They, you know, they took on some fucking dodgy bloke who was going around telling everyone he was a billionaire. This guy called John Faraday.
Yeah.
Who incidentally Google John Faraday in prison for VAT fraud at the moment. So yeah, so obviously not the billionaire that he was fucking lying about.
Yeah.
And basically but like obviously like a shrewd fucking businessman, he fucking invested some money. You know, they got to go onto the big stage. You know, they went from the conference center to the arena, but then Pro Elite came in and fucking made them an offer. And I think basically John Faraday went, right, well, you know, Pro Elite went, right, we'll give you like fucking 3 million now, and then we'll give you, you know, 3 million next year or whatever. And John Faraday went, right, okay, I'm going to take that 3 million now, and then you get the 3 million next year. And they went, okay. And then fucking 2 months later, the cunts went bust. So they fucking ended up getting out, which was a fucking crying shame. But, you know, look, you know, like, but those, you know, you're right. You know, that was the fucking absolute glory days of fucking UK MMA. And some of the people that I met, you know, doing those early shows, I'm still fantastic friends with now. You know, Aaron Chatfield, the Butland brothers, you know, all of those Northern Cartel boys, you know, Danny Wallace, you know, all people like that. Absolute fucking legends, absolute salt of the earth. You know, people like, you know, Paul Daly was fighting on that first show. Alex Reed was refereeing. You know, Paul Sutherland. You know, all of these people that are now still, you know, they're all, you know, regarded as you know, the who's who of the earth. MMA, and you know, so, and it's now, you know, it's fucking, what we're talking, you know, it's like 17, 18 years I met some of these guys, you know what I mean? It's, you know, I've been mates with a lot of these people for, you know, fucking a lot longer than I've known, you know, other people in my life, you know what I mean? And it's and like I say, but those early days when there was like one show every month, so like 1 month it would be Cagewarriors, the next month it would be Cage Rage, the next month it would be Extreme Brawl, and it was like that. And so everybody would go to that one show. Yeah. So once a month, you'd go to fucking London or you'd go to fucking wherever, and you'd all get together and you'd all meet up, and then you'd do the show, and then everyone would go out and get fucking bladdered afterwards. And it was just the fucking coolest thing in the world, man. It was just, honestly, it was like, I've got such fond memories about those early days. But then, like anything, you know, something's fucking cool, and the bandwagon fucking jumpery started, and fucking then next thing. So I remember when I first started MCing, there was basically like me, Ian Freeman, and MC Boo, right? And then basically, you know, between me and Ian Freeman, we took every fucking show in the country. MC Boo fucking disappeared, and then it was just like and so it was like, you know, we had all the work, and it was brilliant, you know what I mean? It was good money, you were getting paid good money for a good job, and it was brilliant. And then obviously slowly but surely more shows started happening, and like everyone started jumping in, not just MCing but refereeing and commentating and all of it. And before you know it, there's fucking pricks out there doing jobs for fucking 100 quid a night and that, and the fucking money's gone down the piss pot. No one fucking cares. And it's like, you know, no one cares about the quality of the job, and, you know, da-da-da-da-da. And look, you know, don't get me wrong. I still get, you know, the only show that I still really get excited for is Cagewarriors. You know what I mean? Because that's like, you know, the fucking, you know, the top quality. You know what I mean? Like, you know, like I say, those other regional shows, you know, they're just... there are good shows out there. I'm not saying they're not bad. Like, you know, you love that FCC. I've never been to it. You know, I've never had a job there. It's fucking miles away. I'm not going to go up there just to fucking watch it. You know, but, you know, there are some good little regional shows going on. But it's like, you know, they because there are so many, you know, it's so diluted these days. You don't have the fucking, like, the love of it anymore, you know?
That's the thing, you know. When we first... So we started FCC in a TA centre in Bury, and then we ended up in the Reebok Stadium, which is where we still do most of our shows now. We got to a point where we were getting like 2,500, 3,000 people for like 4 shows in a row. Like, obviously that, you know, everyone could do the maths on that, 3,500 and whatnot. So, you know, we were bringing in some like high level pros. We had like Brendan Lockname was on, we had Paddy Pimblett on. And some other big names, able to fly some guys in from Europe. But then, obviously, what happens is that, you know, people go to these shows and they see a fucking big room full of people, and they think, fucking hell, this is obviously making a few quid. I can do that. So out of FCC came like so many little shows, and there's some that are still around today and doing just fine, and obviously a load that fucking popped up for 1 show or 2 shows. and then just disappeared. But obviously, what that means is like all the guys who were selling tickets on that show, they're all on 5-6 different shows now. So it kind of hurts everybody. But it's just the name of the game, isn't it?
Well, speaking of people that wake up in the morning and go, I'm going to be a cage fighting promoter. How hard can it possibly be? You were talking the other day. There was a mention of Fame MMA, the top quality organised event in Newcastle with the Geordie Shore fucking contingent. And like I say, so there was some fucking dude made a video. He was like about why Fame fucking MMA didn't work out, and I really didn't want to waste 20 minutes of my life listening to some fucking cunt. So give us a 30-second breakdown of this prick on this video.
He is a guy who books influencers who
I fucking hate that word. They're cunts.
It makes me shiver. So Instagram cunts, basically.
I want to shit. Like every time that someone says I'm an influencer, I just want to shit on their face.
Yeah, so he's just like, I'm an influencer. Oh, so you mean you've not got a proper job then? Okay, fine. And no skills whatsoever. Brilliant. So he basically, he acted as like a talent agent and booked a load of guys for that show. The company turned round and said, we're not going to pay you full whack. They'd agreed, fees for these guys. The company turned around. The show lost a fortune.
Oh yeah, absolutely. How much do you reckon it is to hire the fucking Newcastle arena? That's got to be fucking 60, 100 grand.
Easily. So I mean, I don't know how true this is, but a friend of mine who was asked to invest in it initially and get on board with it, he was told after the first show that they'd lost nearly £500,000. Which I know, beautiful. So
I want to be a cage fighting promoter. How hard can it be? £500,000 worth of hard, you cunt.
Yeah. My friend was then told that he could buy into the second show for 100 grand by the same person.
That sounds like
the same person who just told him it had lost £500,000. I mean, fucking
possibly go wrong?
You'd love to see that on Dragon's Den, wouldn't you? Duncan Bannatyne's like, fuck you, buddy.
Duncan Bannatyne and Peter Jones are like, oh, that sounds fucking awesome. Well, let me just get me checkbook out, you fucking cunt. Yeah,
I mean, fucking lube me up, man. Jesus Christ.
Yeah, but the thing about it is, aren't they really successful in Poland?
Well, Fame MMA is, but it's a different. So there's Fame MMA Poland and Fame MMA UK. So essentially, what they've done is that, like, they've set the show up in the UK, and it seems like they've basically franchised it out.
Right.
All the guys that are involved in the Polish operation basically backed out of it, took all their shares down to like 5%. Limited liability, obviously. And I believe they, at like the last minute, they helped out with some of the production of the actual show. I mean, it was one of those like online pay-per-view jobs, so I'm imagining maybe like a couple of hundred people max actually for it. And apparently,
I guarantee not one person that paid the fucking £10 is an actual MMA fan. Like, they would have all been fucking Geordie Shore fucking sycophant wankers, and they were like that, yeah. And like, so the dude that wasn't it like, so the guy that was supposed to be the main guy was fucking Scotty T, and it's very, very sad that I know this, but the reason I do is because I actually know his family really fucking well. So where obviously I'm from Newcastle, and my old next door neighbour, who was like my extra granny, is actually Scotty T's granny.
Right.
Yeah,
okay.
so basically, my ex next door neighbour, her son is Scotty T's dad. And so, like, I know the family really, really well. And like, I knew him when he was a kid. My sister used to babysit him and all that. But like, I don't know him, obviously. But yeah, so, obviously I knew that he was being favoured for the main event. But then there was just, you looked at his social media and there was not one picture of him in the gym training. And I'm like, you're supposed to be having an MMA fight in like 2 weeks and you haven't trained once. And I mean, I'm sure he's probably worth a gajillion pounds from all of that fucking bollocks. So I think he was fucking sensible enough to see it coming and went. Either was sensible enough to see it coming, the fact that he hadn't trained and was going to get his head kicked in, or would see that they didn't. He had a decent agent that saw they didn't have the money, and he was like, yeah, I ain't fucking doing it. So they got some other dickhead from like fucking like Love Island or some fucking country like that, wasn't it?
Yeah, I think so. I don't remember like if it was the guy in the main event or not, but there was one of them the week after basically said that he had to come home a week early on his holiday because they hadn't paid him and he had no money.
Yeah, he was in Australia or something, wasn't it? And he was like, "Oh, I'm not being paid," and we're like, I was like, "Ha ha ha, you daft." So yeah, I mean, like again, so fair play, Fame MMA, that dude that made the video, he can definitely go down as one of the cunts of the week. What an absolute fucking arse. News and shit. Now, normally what we try and do is we try and pick out a few sort of comedy and light-hearted articles from the news. It's been fucking hard going the last few months. Because obviously you go into the Google News page and it's just fucking Rona, lockdown, death, fucking Rona, lockdown, death. And you're like, oh, for fuck's sake. But some good stuff started to happen. So the big news for the community is that gyms are allowed to open as of the 25th. So I don't know what the fucking regulations are, but this is going to make a lot of people very, very happy. Now, obviously, there's a lot of fucking... what I would say conflict within, the things that are allowed to open and the things that aren't allowed to open, and a lot of fucking, disparity and a lot of fucking stupidity. And the biggest one, I thought, so they've given swimming pools the ability to reopen. And I'm like, if there was anything that you would think would be the thing that they would let fucking stay open, it's a big fucking hole in the ground filled with chlorine.
Yeah.
You're like, what does chlorine do? Well, it kills loads. It kills every germ known to man. All right, I've got a big hole in the ground filled with chlorine. Should we leave that open to kill everyone's germs? Nah, mate. You want to shut that down. I mean, it's absolute fucking buffoonery. So, is there anything in particular with regards to the close down that's fucking pissed you off?
I think it's just like the hypocrisy of it, really. Like, can anyone tell me what's happened between this week and last week, which means it's safe to open pubs last week and not safe to open gyms this week? It just doesn't make sense. Like, I'm not a massive gym guy myself, but obviously, being in this sort of industry and community and stuff, we all know people who are just losing their shirts over this, man. Like, obviously, I do the Shock and Awe show, and Brian and Gareth down there have got Gym 01, and they've just last year got a lease on the building next door to it. They've knocked it through, obviously spent a fucking fortune on all this new gear, completely kitted it out, and as soon as it's open for business, they've had to close down. I just don't think you can look someone in the eye and say, yeah, it's safe to open pubs, because everyone's going to sit on their own table and this, that, and the other, which is fine for like the first 2 hours when everyone does. But then, I went to a pub around the corner, a very small place. I think it held 60 people and they let 15 in. And as soon as more people came in, just left. Just went in for a couple of pints and left. And then you see the pictures on the news afterwards. And it's just like any other day of the week. And it's like, these guys are fucking losing the business. They've been for 10 years.
Yeah.
It's going to have a pint. And it's fine to get your hair cut, but my missus can't get nails done or her eyebrows done.
Oh, that was the thing that I saw today. So they're allowed to fucking beauty shops are allowed to reopen now. So now you can get your nails done, but you're not allowed to do eyebrow threading. And I'm like, I mean, obviously I don't want to get my eyebrows threaded, but please explain the fucking logic. Please explain the fucking logic behind that decision, you fucking cunts. It's fucking ridiculous. So anyway, so hopefully, like you say, there is light at the end of the tunnel. Yeah. Let's just fucking hope that people don't fuck it up, and we can get back to some fucking sense of normality. And me very much looking to get the gyms back open. So there was a big thing about the TV license. Now I'm quite a proponent of the fact that I do not buy a TV license. I never will buy a TV license. And if someone ever comes and knocks on my door asking me to fucking pay for a TV license, they better be fucking bigger than me. Yeah. And so I fucking fundamentally disagree with fucking paying for a TV license. I've never had one, I never will, and I will encourage anybody not to fucking get one. Don't know about what your personal, if you whether you want to fucking state your position on that is entirely up to you. But there's a thing in the news. So the BBC have now decided to revoke the free TV license for the over 75s. So me personally, I don't think our demographic really falls into the over 75s. However, if there are any listeners who have relatives in the over 75s category that are worried about the TV license, I've got a foolproof way to get rid to not have to do it. So what you do is you don't buy a TV license. And then what you do is if somebody ever knocks on your door asking about the TV license, you tell them to fuck off.
Seems reasonable.
Problem fucking solved. There you go. Innit? Anybody knocks on the door, open the door, I'm here about your TV license. Fuck off. Shut the door. They've got no right to fucking come in your house. They've got no right to knock on your door. And unless they come in and see you watching the telly, they ain't going to do shit. Yeah? So...
Isn't it? It's not even a crime. It's a civil matter between you and the BBC, right?
Yeah.
So, I mean, I haven't had a TV aerial plugged into my TV for like 10 years. Like, I find that... So I used to work from home when I was a journalist, and I found that I've got TV on in the background, I'm not working.
Yeah.
So I just didn't have one. Like, cancelled my fucking Virgin TV package and everything, and then just use Netflix and that. You don't need a TV license for that. Yeah. The only time I've really, like, I suppose, broken the rules is like watching live sport. But I'm not going to fucking pay a TV license just to watch UFC and whatnot. I'm just not going to do it. I think it's fucking outdated, antiquated, and just needs to be fucked off. Like, do you know what I mean? I'm not 75, so it's not an issue for me. But my nan's 86, and she's not fucking loaded or anything. And I'm sure it's an extra few quid a month that she don't want to pay. So
yeah, it's like 15 quid a month or something stupid like that. You know what I mean? They can fuck off. And like you say, especially when fucking Netflix is 7 quid a month or whatever. I mean, luckily I've got a fucking login for my pal's Netflix, as I think a lot of people do. So so my pal pays for it. He's got like 5 different fucking logins, and I've got one of them. But I pay me £7 a month for Amazon Prime, and I watch a lot of stuff on Amazon Prime, and I genuinely cannot remember the last time I watched like a terrestrial TV show. And as far as sport goes, everything I watch I acquire from a perfectly legal download source.
As do we all.
So that's it. Now here we go. So there was a very, very interesting article, which ironic, whatever, shocker. So there was an article. It was, here we go. So in the walesonline.co.uk, there has been an independent office for police conduct launched, and it says police watchdog launches probe into possible racial bias against ethnic minorities. So they've decided that the police might possibly have somewhat of a racial bias towards ethnic minorities. Now, I mean, I'm not exactly the biggest fan of the police sometimes. I used to maybe work in a slightly criminal element when I was younger. And, one of my best friends, he's currently serving a fairly long prison sentence. But, he did the crime, he did the time, you know what I mean? He got caught with a large quantity of chemicals that he shouldn't have had.
We're not talking domestos or bleach here, are we?
But definitely not. But, the bottom line is, they're a public servant and they certainly have a place, and, I guarantee if someone was fucking murdering your granny or nonsing up some kid that they would be the first person you called. So, but, I mean, let's have it right. you know, for someone to go, there may possibly be racism within the police. You're like, lad, fucking hell, what did you actually get every detective from police force to fucking study that one and work it out? So, yes. So I'm sure that you may well agree with me that there is some form of institutional racism that may be investigated. But then, right, check this. So then there's an article on Sky News on the same day as the possible racism in the police force. And then it says here, police officer 21 charged with being a member of a far-right terror group. You like that? So Benjamin Hannum is also charged with possessing an indecent photograph of a child back in 2018. So he's a fucking racist nonce and he's a fucking police officer. And so they've got an article there. There is a definite racist nonce as a police officer. And then another article going, well, we're investigating possible racism within the police. You're like, really, mate? Really? So, yes. So basically, not every police officer's a cunt, but there's definitely a couple. So that one, yes, is definite definite nomination for cunt of the week.
What, the entire police force or just that one guy?
Well, anyone that's racist within the police, which may mean quite a few, but definitely that fucking one guy. And I think definitely whoever's in the press, whoever sorts out the press releases for the police force by saying we're instigating possible racism, instead of going, right, there's definitely racism going on, we're going to get these people to look into it. They're going, oh, the possible racism within the police force. You're like, possible, mate? That's like saying there's possibly a few murderers out there on the loose. You know, there's possibly a heroin addict that goes shoplifting every day. You know, fucking hell, come on, mate, you fucking cunts. So, yes, that's the fucking absolute bullshit. Now, massive cunt of the week nomination. Again, a recurring cunt of the week nomination. Boris Johnson. So this week we have Boris Johnson, who has just flat out decided that nursing homes are at fault for old people dying of the coronavirus. The actual nursing homes that provide the care are at fault. Not Boris Johnson, not the Tory government, not the policies that they put in place, but the actual nursing homes themselves. So would you concur with Boris Johnson being a massive cunt?
I mean, he could be cunt of the week every week as far as I'm concerned. The man is a fucking imbecile. The amount of shit those people in those nursing homes had to put up with, the thousands of people who were sent home from hospital without being checked for even symptoms of it, let alone that actual test, and then just being put back in a confined environment where staff are trapped in with them. You've got staff who've had to fucking live in nursing homes in basically dormitories for 3 weeks. And then for Johnson to come out and be like, well, they didn't follow the advice very well, so it's kind of their fault. What a cunt.
Oh, he's an absolute shithouse of the highest order. So, yeah, I thought you would definitely agree with that one. Something a little bit more lighthearted. And I mean, it's something lighthearted based on a potential on a tragedy that happened. But it's the 10th year anniversary of when Paul Gascoigne turned up to speak to Raoul Moat. Now, obviously, you know, fucking this all happened in Newcastle. My friend, one of my best friends, went to school with Raoul Moat. So he was, and he always said, he was a little bit weird when he was at school. I was like, really? He said his brother was even weird as well. I was like, really? He said, well, yeah, apparently he reckons it was the steroids that fucking did for him. So obviously that fucking Raoul Moat was a bit weird, filled himself full of steroids, went in and out of prison, and yeah, did himself absolutely no favors. But like I say, so, you know, it was a tragedy. He came out of prison, he killed his fucking girlfriend and her husband, her new boyfriend, shot a copper. But then, so the standoff went up into Northumberland, and so you read the article, and obviously Paul Gascoigne's spoken about this. Paul Gascoigne is, you know, very, very famously, you know, got his issues with drugs and alcohol. So Paul Gascoigne said he was sitting at home and he's turned on the telly and he's like, oh, yeah, it's just a thing on the telly. Started sniffing gear and fucking drinking whiskey. So he's like, after the first couple of lines, he's like, oh, yeah, I used to know that geezer as a bouncer. Yeah, he's had a couple more lines. He's like, well, you know, me and him were best mates. He's like, you know, fucking few more lines. He's like, I think we used to share a gaff together. And then, like, you know, fucking, he's like, few more lines. He's like, well, it's me brother. Clearly, that bloke's my brother. And that's when he decided to jump into a taxi with a bag of chicken and cans of beer and tip up. And I swear to God, so you fucking read the way that Paul Gascoigne, he said, so Gascoigne later claimed he had 14 lines of cocaine, insisting that as he took each line of the Class A drug, he distorted the reality of his relationship with Moat. And now, you know, what he did has become a well-known fucking joke. Like, every time something fucked up happens, like, you know, like, say, like, a football club goes into administration, they're like, I believe Gaza's just turned up at the ground with a fucking bag of chicken and a fucking 4 cans of lager. It's like, anytime something fucked up
happens. Rods as well.
Yeah, fishing. Well, so this was it. So Gaza's a big fisherman, and where the standoff was taking place was next to a river where he used to go fishing. So obviously he's like, well, I'll take him a fishing rod. He is my best friend, and me and him can have a can of lager, some chicken, and have a bit of fishing, and wait for all this to blow over. So, so 10 years to the day since Raoul Moat was fucking raging around the northeast of England with a fucking shotgun. So, yeah, obviously tragedy that he fucking killed fucking some people and shot an old Bill who eventually killed himself, but still, like I say, led on to one of the funniest things happening ever. And I remember, I don't know about you, it's not a thing anymore. Now with the invention of WhatsApp and that, you don't have to worry about how many free texts you've got. Do you remember when you used to get like 100 free texts a month? And it was, I remember the fucking thing about it was when Raoul Moat was fucking rampaging around, everyone was fucking sending each other joke texts and everyone had run out of free texts. People don't do that anymore, like, because it's all Facebook based, isn't it? Like, do you remember when a tragedy used to happen and you'd wake up in the morning and you'd pick your phone up and there was like 37 texts and you were like, oh, I wonder which cunt died.
Yeah. Well, that's the old joke, isn't it? Like, everyone remembers where they were when Michael Jackson died. You were texting your mate a joke about Michael Jackson being a dead man.
I was stood in my kitchen looking at my phone going, fucking hell, I've got 50 text messages. I wonder what the fuck's happened. So, yeah, I remember fucking everyone was like that. I remember there was me. I think it was even Joe. Joe might have been there. And my mate Derek. And we were stood in the walkabout in Reading, like fucking glued to the TV, like fucking texting my mates, having a pint like that, going, this is the fucking best bit of TV I've ever seen. Fucking Raoul Moat sat there like Big Vern with a fucking shotgun to his head. No bastard copper's going to take me alive. You know what I mean? Yeah, absolute fucking awesomeness. So, yes, 10-year, you know, R.I.P. Raoul Moat. But, yeah, sun's out, guns out. Now, so we've got someone else, cunt of the week, which is the actual Foreign Office. So the UK Foreign Office has issued a warning to holiday-making public in the UK. They have decided to inform the general public to avoid cruise ships. Now, I personally think that if any cunt out there is dumb enough to go and get into a metal box with 5,000 other fucking people, they deserve to get the coronavirus and die.
Isn't this like how all this fucking thing started off? Like when people realised it was real, because everyone on a cruise ship was like stuck on a cruise ship for
very, very possibly.
Like no one was allowed to like come back onto dry land.
Well, the thing about it, but this shit happens all the time. Not even with coronavirus. You're talking like the fucking Get. Hello, whoever's that, is that your missus in the background? There you go. So, but have you fucking seen it where like they just go down with a dose of the stomach flu, and like so basically one dude gets a fucking bad case of the fucking of the shits and the pukes, and it just fucking rips through a cruise ship, and next thing you've got fucking 3,000 pensioners fucking are locked onto a fucking, and I'm like, look, if any cunt wants to go and fucking get into a metal box full of disease-ridden fucking people, they fucking deserve everything they get, the stupid cunts.
Mate, that's Darwinism for you, isn't it?
I mean, like, you know, it's like one of those things, don't get me wrong, some of them cruise ships look pretty fucking cool. They've got roller coasters and swimming pools and fucking 5-star restaurants and fucking you name it. But really, like, I don't like being locked in with me family for Christmas, let alone being locked in with fucking 3,000 cunts that you don't fucking know. I mean, Jesus Christ, can you imagine?
It's not my idea of a good time at all.
So yes, the Foreign Office are cunts for being stupid enough to think that people don't fucking know that information. But if anyone is stupid enough to want to go on a cruise, I think they should let them. And then they just before they get back from international waters, just throw them all over the side. Do a fucking Dexter and get rid of the cunts.
Just like wedge the steering wheel in with like a stick or something and just point it. Yeah.
Fucking see ya, you stupid cunts. So, so far we haven't really got any regulations about wearing masks, and it's for me. I've got no issue with wearing a mask. In fact, for like taking my kid out for the first, my kid thought it was a half an adventure going out wearing a mask. You know what I mean? So we were like, we've got all the masks and fucking shit. And obviously I'd just come out of hospital and my eye cracked open. So I was pretty conscious about fucking, having a fucking open wound on my face. And Michaela, Michaela, the medic from the shows.
Yeah.
She brought me, she only lives near me. She brought me a load of masks round. God bless her soul. So I've got no issue. However, have you seen these cunts in America that are refusing to wear masks?
Mate, it's the same fucking thing as the cruise ship. Just let them all fucking infect each other, and.
But no, but not, let them do it. But it's like so you've got these businesses that are like, you're not allowed in without a mask, and these people are turning up going, you can't tell me what to do, and you're like, well, actually,
I can.
I fucking can. It's my fucking business. If I choose to not serve you my product because you're not wearing a mask, that's up to me. And Michael Bisping just shared this video of this fucking American Karen fucking cunt going, I spoke to my attorney before I come down here and you can't force me to wear a mask. I'm like, so you spoke to your lawyer, did you? That's a fucking lie, you old fucking slag cunt. Fucking, and I'm just like, what is fucking wrong with people? And did you hear all them cunts in Florida were going, you can't fucking stop God's breathing system. God gave us a breathing system. You can't interfere with God's breathing system. I'm like, I think you'll find we can have a disease.
It's mad, isn't it? It's like if you think wearing a mask like for a couple of weeks is going to make you like struggle breathing, wait till you get the fucking coronavirus that ruins your lungs for the rest of your life. You fucking dickhead.
Well, it's like it's slightly off topic, but the same thing. Do you remember there was that guy who was like, he goes, God, it makes the perfect human being. He goes, take a look at the eye. Only God could design such a thing as perfect as the eye. And the cunt's wearing glasses. And you're like, what? So God gave you fucked up eyes as a bit of a joke, did he? You fucking eye. I mean, like those cunts in Florida are fucking when it comes to fucking God shit, man. You know what I mean? Like all them fundamentalists. The Earth's only 6,000 years old.
Right. Okay.
Yeah. God, what about the dinosaur bones? God put those there to test our faith. Like that. Really?
God's a real prick then, isn't he? Like he's just trying to fucking find you up. Funnily enough.
Yeah. They're fucked up.
My nomination for Cunt of the Week is a Florida man, actually.
Yeah, a Florida man.
It's back on the old MMA tip for a second, and our old friend Mike Platinum Perry.
Oh, I've got it. It's actually part of Cunt of the Week. It's actually part of MMA and shit. But you're jumping ahead slightly. But go ahead. You tell me.
So, obviously Mike Perry fought a couple of weeks ago and gave an amazing post-fight interview where he was basically like, fucking hell, I owe the tax man an absolute fortune because I thought that when I get my check with the commission tax taken off it, that's my money then. He didn't realise he had to go and pay fucking income tax where he lives. And he's like, man, I'm just trying to fucking get paid. That's my money. I want to go out, party, get on the beach with cocktails and just have a fucking wild time. Fast forward to 2 weeks later, he's still in fucking wherever it is that he's for, absolutely off his tits in a restaurant. He's apparently twatted 3 people. He's been sort of forced to leave. He's walking out of the restaurant, and you can quite clearly see this in the video. There's nobody between him and the fucking door. And he stops, turns around, some guy comes towards him, bam, cheers this guy.
And he's an old cunt as well. It's like this.
Dude looks about 60.
This geezer's in his fucking 60s. And he's, I mean, the geezer was a bit like fucking, so he was talking about something about calling the old Billy. He went, oh, yeah, you're going to talk to the police. And the next thing he's just fucking pinged him with a right hook and switched him clean off. And you're like, yes. So your fucking, you know, your professional MMA fighter in his 30s is fucking swinging right hooks on a fucking 60-year-old fucking codger. Yeah, that's not going to fucking end well, is it? Yeah, definitely. And then he was dropping the N-bomb against some fucking dude. And you're like that. Like, he drops it with an accent. Like, actually thinks, I think he thinks he is black. You're like, well, dude,
he's had one of those ancestry things done.
Oh, and he's like 0.4% black.
He's 2% black, apparently. But I mean, pretty much everyone, like, you know, if you're in America, you're gonna have a little bit of everything, aren't you?
I reckon every single person walking the planet is 2% black, at least every single one. You know what I mean? Yeah, I mean he's he's clear. But there was a thing that come out today, so they've announced that he's obviously he's been saying that he's got alcohol issues, and you know, and obviously as someone that's got a bit of an alcohol issue himself, you know, I can feel, I've obviously got a bit of sympathy. And you know, look, if he goes into rehab and he comes out sober and he apologizes and fucking, you know, makes restitution and da 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 da, well, you know, we'll see. But is it just going to be another John Jones saga where he fucks up, does something really, really bad, and then stands and goes, oh, I'm really sorry, I've got alcohol problems, I'm sober now, and then 2 months later, he's letting off guns when he's buying drugs off homeless people at 4 o'clock in the morning. You know what I mean? So, you know, look, we'll see what happens. But yes, definite, massive cunt of the week, Mike Perry. I mean, he's a fairly fucking binary character, you know. He's like, sometimes I quite like him, but most of the time I think he's a fucking bellend. But did you? And one of the things, did you see the website that Darren Till set up?
Oh, fuck yeah.
PerryIsABum.com.
Yeah.
I mean, don't get me wrong. I'm not saying I guarantee Darren Till set that up, but you know, if someone put a gun to me head and said, right, who set that website up? I would say either Darren Till himself or someone very closely associated to Darren fucking Till.
100%, man. Just fucking telling the guy he's going to raw dog his missus and stuff. I mean, that's fucking next level troll game. I'll tell you what I did like about Mike Perry though. The fact that he was like, yeah, I'm going to turn up and my girlfriend's going to corner me, and then actually did it. It's the most UK MMA thing I've ever seen.
Well, were you there? Did you do that? There was a show in fucking the one in Portsmouth at Shock and Awe. Some cunt did that at Shock and Awe, didn't it? Just fucking turned up and had his missus in the corner, and she, like, we were just like, what the fuck? I mean, I'm sure he was probably one of them fucking last-minute Larry replacements.
Yeah, it was Tyler Thomas, who's he's known around the scene. He turns up with his missus or his missus and his brother, and they've jumped in and fought as well. I did the you know, when Fight UK did their like comeback a couple of years ago, it was just like Jimmy and Ian running it. I think it wasn't like, obviously Alistair and all that have kind of moved on. And this Tyler Thomas guy turned up with his missus, brother, and one of the mates, and fuck me, every single one of them got knocked clean out. Like, oh man, it was a fucking disaster. His brother like started having a fucking fit in the cage.
I mean, Jesus Christ, you know. I mean, like, people don't realize how fucking dangerous it is having a fight. You know, I can have half a row, and I train quite a lot. And I was sparring with one of my mates, not even going full pelt, and the cunt fucking caved me eye socket in.
one of these dudes who come, I think it wasn't the brother, it was his mate, and he was like an absolute beanpole, like clearly never done anything fucking athletic in his life. And I'm thinking to myself, oh God, like, who's he going to be fighting? And they announced the opponent, and the MC's like, well, with a record of 0-0. So I'm like, okay, it's a debut guy, makes sense. The dude comes out in a pair of fucking tie shorts with legs thicker than my waist, and I'm like, oh Jesus Christ! Fucking head kicked the dude in about 30 seconds and banged him clean out. Oh, it was horrible.
Yeah, mate, I've seen it, man. Like I remember. I think I've told this story before, but I remember. Do you remember? A certain referee used to run a certain show in Portsmouth back in the day, and I was emceeing the show. So at the time I didn't drive, so I've got a local lad from around Reading who shall remain nameless. But he was a bit of a fanboy at the time, right. And I was like, do you want a free ticket for the show? He's like, yeah. I was like, well, all you got to do is drive me there and then drive me back. Right, brilliant. So he's come round, picked me up. We've driven down to Pompey, turned up at we've walked into the fucking event, which was on the South Parade Pier, and this certain referee that shall remain nameless basically went, all right, and he turned around and looked at this kid and went, what do you weigh? Now, this is a kid that has never, ever trained a day in his life. Not only that, this kid's a fucking weirdo autistic freak with fucking this weird eating disorder. Nothing against autistic people. My son's autistic, and probably me. But this kid's a fucking freak. All he eats is chicken nuggets and chips.
Wow.
You've fucking never seen a vegetable or a normal piece of meat in his entire life. He lives on chicken nuggets and chips. So he's never done a day's training, has the worst diet ever possible, and, possibly has some other issues going on. And next thing, the cunt's in a pro MMA fight.
Okay, no.
Right? So, obviously, before the fight, I've gone, listen, you've got one fucking hope in this and one fucking hope in this only, right? I've gone, you fucking run towards that geezer and throw the biggest right fucking hand that you can possibly imagine. And he's like, okay. So, they've gone to the fucking stall, got him a pair of shorts, got him a cup, got him a gum shield, fucking boil and bite in the back. Next thing you know, he's fucking come out. And I mean, you can imagine the physical condition of this kid.
Yeah.
Who doesn't train and doesn't eat properly. And the guy who he's training, so he's up against some fucking blue belt from fucking one of those fucking local jiu-jitsu clubs down on the south coast. So he's fucking I've announced the fucking in the blue corner, in the red corner, ding ding, fight started. And he's fucking done exactly what I told him. And he's fucking run forward, thrown this looping overhand right, and caught the cunt right on the chin and fucking dropped him.
Mate.
So the entire place fucking erupted, right? And then obviously he's gone down to fucking hit the guy again, and the guy's just grabbed his arm and armbarred him. Right. Yeah, tapped him out in 2 seconds. But for that fucking split second when he cracked him on the chin, he was like the fucking hero of the entire venue. I've never seen a fucking greater thing in my life. But then from that moment forward, every time I saw the cunt, he was like, oh yeah, well, my fighting career. I'm like, you got paid 200 quid to take a dive in the pier in Portsmouth, you fucking cunt, and all you eat's chicken nuggets, and you've never been in the gym since. And then, about 6 months later, somebody else fucking had him and chucked him in a cage to have a kickboxing fight with Tony Giles. You can imagine the brain trauma. And I've actually gone up to Tony Giles before the fight and I've gone, listen, Tony, please don't fucking hurt this kid. I said, can you just fucking give him a couple of digs and he'll go out? Tony Giles has obviously come out and fucking hit him with a 3 fucking punch combination, taking the fucking head clean off this poor cunt. And he was like, fucking, he had to drive home. And he's like fucking driving home from London with a fucking severe concussion and all that. I'm like, what the fuck? Yeah.
there was an MC on the Northern scene who I'm sure you're aware of. He used to be on the Cagewarriors forum.
Yeah, I'm going to say Mike Purcell.
Yeah,
Fuck him.
But he was obviously well known for getting fucking filled in and then jumping on his motorbike.
Motorbike home with a concussion.
Mike, like that.
Mike, small but mighty Purcell. You're like, no, you're a fucking cunt, mate. And he couldn't win a fight, so he started MCing. Yeah, fuck him. Yeah, he fucking deserves everything he gets to fucking melt. Anyway, so one final thing in news and shit. Two. Well, yeah, one final thing in news and shit. So there is an article in the Daily Record, which is that high-quality Scottish publication. So, Scots teens end up in Ibiza after drinking session turns into last-minute holiday. So, Brad Duff visited his pal Rhys Loney on Sunday night, ended up booking flights for a Monday morning to the Spanish holiday island. And next thing, they've got pictures of them like that. So basically, two 19-year-old kids from Scotland went out and got pissed. Next thing, they jumped on an aeroplane and they're fucking in Ibiza. So yes, that shows you the power of alcohol and Scots people with their ability to do absolutely stupid things. And I'm going to say they're probably drinking Buckfast at some point.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah, absolutely. They're undefeated at that kind of behaviour. I think they're probably the champions of Europe, surely.
It was funny. There was back in the day, there was a mate of mine. He was in prison with some dude who fucking got a bottle of liquid acid, and fucking this dude drank this bottle of liquid acid, and like 3 weeks later he came round and he was in Turkey. He has no memory. He has no memory of him getting from wherever he was in England, like fucking down in this bottle of fucking liquid LSD, just when he fucking came out of the fucking trip. Yeah, he was in Turkey and he was like, what the fuck? Yeah, so shit like that does happen. I don't know how, but I used to drink a lot and take a lot of fucking drugs, but I've never ended up in a foreign country before.
Well, I have actually. This is the dangerous thing. Because obviously, I like my late teens and early 20s, I was in Holland. And obviously, there's a lot of alcohol and drugs in Holland. And there's also a fucking Eurostar, which can get you to France and Belgium and various other places. So there's been a few messy weekends where we've gone out on the Friday night and then ended up in like France or Belgium or somewhere on the Saturday, and then got back to Amsterdam for midnight on the Saturday night. Clubbed it till morning, and then sort of walked in not really knowing what day it was, with like 2 stamps in my passport on a Monday morning.
Well, you've definitely got one over on me there, son.
You've got to do it while you're young, haven't you, I suppose? I don't think I could fucking handle that kind of night out these days.
Oh, fuck me. Do you know what? It absolutely terrifies me. Do you know what I mean? Like, so it's 5.5 years since I've had a drink. And the thought of doing some of the shit that I used to fucking do, I think, even like, goes as far as being daft cunt. Like, you brought it up on Facebook in the week where we were talking about the fucking, the Anderson Silva Weidman fight. And I'm pissed out my face going, I give people 10-1. And Weidman proceeded to switch Anderson Silva the fuck clean off. Yeah, wouldn't have been one of my greatest moments. So, anyway, there's something here which is, it's news and shit, but it's also MMA and shit. So, and this is right up your alley. And I think you might have even shared something about it a while ago. Have you seen the article? So, porn site hires ex-Bellator play-by-play man to call live webcams for blind users. You, my friend, are missing a fucking trick. What did you not plan for this job?
In the words of Nate Diaz, that motherfucker took everything I worked for.
I'm going to fight your ass, motherfucker. Yeah, so basically, former Bellator commentator Sean Wheelock is back in the national spotlight, but he won't be calling fights. Those of you who follow sports outside of MMA bubble might remember the recent and somewhat bizarre story of how Joe Buck turned down $1 million offer to commentate adult webcam experiences for IamLive.com. Well, instead of Buck, it's Wheelock on the play-by-play duties. So, if it's webcam, that's basically birds just fucking fingering that twat, isn't it?
Yep.
Now, how many euphemisms do you think that you can come up with for a bird finger and a twat?
Man, if you'd have given me some advance notice on this, I probably could have done quite well.
Well,
I mean, I don't know about you, mate, but to be honest, like, if I'm cracking one out, I don't really want to have some bloke's fucking voice in my ear. Like,
you'd think they'd get a woman. You'd think they would get a woman to do it, wouldn't you? Like, instead of some bloke going, all right, mate, now, yeah, she's fucking sticking 2 fingers up her twat. She's rubbing her clit. You know, she's got big old titties.
Yeah,
you know?
she's just gone under bed for a plunger. Jesus Christ.
So, yeah, I'm a bit disappointed you didn't fucking apply for the job, mate. I mean, what happened?
If I'd have known, honestly, I'd have been there. There's not much that get me to give up Cagewarriors, but I think that might just be it.
$1 million, mate. They're paying the cunt.
You know.
Well, they offered that other cunt $1 million. I don't know who Joe Buck is. He probably fucking commentates football or something.
Yeah, he's a really famous American sports commentator. So I think Sean's probably done it for a few quid less. But I mean, you know what I mean? I'd have done it for 250 quid in the per diem.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, you know, we all know what the job's worth. We all know what the job's worth around these parts. So, yeah, fucking hell. But yeah, so I mean, I'm very tempted. I'm very tempted to go and have a log on and see what it's actually all about.
Just for research purposes.
Yeah, but it's like, so it's iamlive.com offering the largest variety of adult webcam experiences, announced today the launch of I Am Live for the Blind, a website dedicated to providing the visually impaired the live camming experience that millions around the world currently enjoy. Now, again, like I told you, you know, I'm a fan of porn. However, for all of 4 minutes, yeah, bit of fucking fake taxi of an evening before you go to bed. 4-6 minutes, job done, I'm off to sleep. I can't ever say that I've logged on to a live webcam. Do you really think there are millions of people around the world enjoying the webcam experience?
Yeah, I think there's got to be, man. Like, there's got to be a market for it, because it seems that like that's how it all works now. Like, no one's fucking going to the old grot shop to buy a DVD anymore, are they? It's all just fucking.
Well, it's free. It's all free. Pornhub and fucking RedTube. You know, you go into there, type in anything you want. It's fucking free. I don't understand why people would possibly pay for porn anymore. But apparently there are. I mean, like,
I suppose it's like one step down from a brass, isn't it? It's like it's a personal, like, one-to-one kind of thing.
I actually know someone who worked, like, there's a girl I know who worked on one of those fucking telephone sex lines. And, you know, you're talking like fucking £3 an hour to have some bird chat to you on the phone. I'm like, bitch, you better pay me £3 an hour to fucking talk to her on the phone. What? You fuck? I don't get it. Like, it's not my bag. You know, I'm a fair, you know, in this kind of case, I'm obviously a fairly vanilla kind of chap. And just the thought of paying some birds to chat on the phone, I'm like, what? And yet she was telling me about some of the fucking freaks that call up. And like, some dude called up and said they wanted her to pretend that they were his mother, and that she came in the bedroom and caught him wanking. So this guy was going to be on the phone cracking one out, and she had to like pretend to storm in the bedroom and go, "My God, son, what are you doing?" And he was like going to get all embarrassed. And I'm like, that's some freaky fucking shit to get off to, but it's more freaky to pay someone £3 a fucking minute. And obviously her job is to try and keep the cunt on the phone as long as possible. Yeah. She was having these cunts, some of these cunts were on the phone for like 2 hours. And I'm like, that's like 400 fucking quid they're spending.
I suppose that's the kind of thing that you can't just get on like fucking YouPorn or whatever. That's what you've got to pay for. Fucking man. Did you ever hear about that thing called Cam Soda that did the MMA event?
No.
So it's one of these cam sites where you go on and just watch the bird with a fucking cucumber or whatever. And they did an MMA card from a strip club, and they put it on their cam site. So you could log on, you could watch a bird, or you could watch the MMA. Crazy Crazy Horse Bennett was the main event, obviously.
Obviously. If you'd have
I'm sure he was paid in lap dances.
If you'd have just said to me, right, name an MMA fighter that was on the card, I'd have gone Crazy Horse Bennett.
So I'm sure he was paid in fucking lap dances or brasses or whatever the fuck.
And
but the best thing was, really good for the fighters actually. You could, obviously everyone's watching, and it's just like when they're watching the bird. You can tip. So when you're watching the bird, like, frig yourself off, you can be like, "Oh, touch your tits and I'll give you a $5 or whatever." You could do that in the fight. You could do that, and they read them out. So some guy be like, "Do a head kick for $20," and the MC be like, "Oh, I want you to do a head kick for $20."
Fuck! I want to see this. Tell me it's on YouTube somewhere. Tell me I can fight this event.
I'll find it for you. So,
Yeah.
And then at the end of the fight, you could offer a donation to the winner. Oh, that was it. There was like a pot of tips that built up, and whoever won got the pot of tips. So if it was a good fight, people would start chucking $2-3 in, and some of them they were getting like over $1,000 in this tip thing, and then whoever tipped the most got their name read out by the MC. So when he presented, like, your winner in the red corner is fucking Bob Smith, and he gets the tip sponsored by. But all the usernames were like, "I love sloppy cunts" and stuff.
I swear to God, get a link. If you can find a link, we'll put it up on the page so everyone can fucking see what we're talking about. Yeah, man. Mate, that's how did I not know about that? That's absolute gold. So that's it for the potential comedy. But let's get on to the serious stuff. So this weekend, we have the inaugural Fight Island. And so we spoke about it last week with Charlie Leary, but instantly what we spoke about fucked up because Burns fucking tested for the Rona, and they fucking sent the bat signal out to the BMF. I don't know if you saw that picture I fucking posted up. It was fucking awesome. And like, I fucking love Jorge Masvidal. He is the fucking legend of all legends that's ever fucking legend. Super necessary. Fucking Jorge Masvidal steps in. Now, so, first things first. Do you reckon the motherfucker's getting paid?
Oh, mate, he's got to be, hasn't he? I mean, like, there was the whole thing of, you see, they originally wanted him to have this fight before they gave it to Burns. There was Masvidal, Covington, Leon Edwards, all kind of like in the mix. And he was just like, well, I've been in this game a long fucking time. He's obviously got a few quid now from the Nate Diaz fight that he maybe.
This was the argument. So they apparently they offered him half as much money to fight for a title than they did to fight Nate Diaz. And he's going, hold on, you can't pay me this much to have a fight for a non-real title and then pay me less to fight for the real title. That's fucking bullshit. So he had a very valid point.
Yeah, well, this is the thing, and the UFC hates it. They hate having to deal with fighters who don't need the money, because if your name's Conor McGregor or John Jones, and they say, well, we're going to offer you this much, and you say you want this much, they don't give it you. Don't fight. You don't need the money, right? Conor McGregor's not hurting for cash. Masvidal's obviously got a few quid behind him now, and for a guy who's come up the hard way, I mean, this guy was going 10 years ago, right? And we've all seen the fucking backyard fights in Kimbo's garden. He's had a fucking rough come up, and a few years ago, you said, oh, he's one of those guys who was like the gatekeeper to the sort of top 10. He wins a few, he loses a few, and that's kind of where he's going to stay. All of a sudden, he's in like the best position he's ever been in. He's making good money. Why the fuck should he like dance to anyone else's tune right now?
Okay, listen to this. So, do you know when his first professional fight was in 2003?
Fucking hell.
So he's been fighting professional MMA for 17 years, right? And like you say, during that time, he has fought every single fucking name going. So like 2005 fought Joe Lauzon, Eve Edwards in 2007. Then it was in Strikeforce.
Paul Daly fought there.
Yeah, Paul Daly. He fought in Bellator in like the early, fought Bellator 1
in
2009. like I say, fought Strikeforce, Paul Daly, 2010, lost to Paul Daly with a decision. Gilbert Melendez, Pat Healy, James Krause, Ali Akinta, Ben Henderson, Lorenz Larkin, Ross Pearson, Jake Ellenberger, Cowboy Cerrone, fucking Damian Maia, Stephen Thompson, Darren Till, Ben Askren, Nate fucking Diaz. Like, now, so, I mean, there is no one in that division that he hasn't fought, and he's beaten. So, and obviously he did we all know the fucking story about how he went on this TV show and he was locked away and he fucking did a lot of meditation and he came out and he turned into a fucking absolute savage killer. And I fucking love it, love it, love it, love it, love it. But then add on to that, like you say, when he was fucking 17 years old, he's fighting fucking people for Kimbo Slice in the backyards of Florida. So this is going to be his 48th professional MMA fight, plus all of these backyard fights he had, plus the Cunt obviously had, well over 100, proper fights, plus street balls, whatever.
If you're fighting MMA in 2003, there's fucking fights that aren't on your record, right?
Absolutely, absolutely. So, now, the question is, right? The two questions are, so Jorge Masvidal is taking this fight on short notice, and he's been very, very public in saying that if it was maybe somebody else, he might not have accepted the fight, but he believes that Usman isn't as good as he's advertised. So the question is Masvidal ready enough? Because he says he stays ready so he doesn't have to get ready. He would have maybe liked a longer camp, but before this, obviously they offered him the fight. He turned it down. He said he was going to get ready. He was staying ready and he was training hard. So number one, as we said, do you think he then had the ability to hold the UFC's feet to the fire when they came to him and said, "Oh, right, fucking Burns is fucking got the Rona. We need someone to step in." How much do you think he went, yeah, ka-ching, fucking give me the ka-chings? So do you reckon he's getting paid a bucket load of dough?
Yeah, he's got to be. Look, I think what probably happened here, and if he's got good management behind him, let's be honest. I think as soon as he turned it down initially, he probably went straight into camp, because the situation is obviously the UFC aren't selling tickets to these events, and they make most of them on your pay-per-view, but they're doing 5-6 million in ticket sales, so they can't afford to have a big show like this when no one buys the pay-per-view. And obviously Abu Dhabi are paying all the ground costs and that kind of thing, but they've got targets to meet. The company that owns them are into shit, so they need to maximize their pay-per-view. So I think Masvidal turned that fight down and went straight into camp, knowing that if Usman pulls or if Burns pulls for whatever reason, he's probably going to be the first choice because he's probably going to sell more pay-per-views than anyone else. So yeah.
Absolutely. So I mean, how many people do you think? Some fucking cunt outside my house there doing DIY. So how many people do you think would have bought the pay-per-view on the back of fucking Burns, and compared to how many people do you think are going to buy the pay-per-view on the back of Masvidal?
Yeah, I mean, I would say a couple of 100,000 more at least.
Exactly, and what, like $70 a shot? You know what I mean? So you're talking, there's an extra, $14 fucking million there in revenue. Yeah. So, he's got to be getting, if his manager hasn't fucking sorted and get him getting 20% of that, you know what I mean? If he's not getting $3 million for the fight, I'd be fucking, I'd want to fucking sack his manager. Yeah. So like that in itself makes Jorge Masvidal a winner. I am fucking super, super, super pleased for him. The fact that, he stood to his guns. They were offering him shit money. He told them to get fucked, and they come crawling back on their hands and knees, going, "Please take the fight." And he'll have gone, "Yes, I will. Give me a massive bag of cash." And they've obviously gone, yes. So yeah, hashtag super necessary. Fucking absolutely love it. So that's the money. Now, do you think, number one, is he ready? And what's your opinion on Usman as a fighter?
I think, first of all, yeah, I think Masvidal's going to be ready. Like I say, I think he probably started getting ready as soon as this whole situation started. So I reckon he's probably as ready as he's going to be. And I don't think it's a case of he's been sat on his arse eating hamburgers and then 2 weeks ago started training. I think he's probably going to be about as good to go as he's going to get. As for Usman, the guy's a fucking problem. Like, you know, he's obviously got a bit of a reputation for, you know, being a boring fighter and going to decisions and this, that, and the other. But, you know, if you look at the fight with Colby Covington, he's just come off the back of, that was a really exciting fight, you know. If you've got a guy coming at him, pushing him, trying to knock him out, then, you know, he's going to give as good as he gets. And obviously, the only way Masvidal wins this fight is by beating him up or knocking him out, right? So Masvidal's going to come at him and he's going to hit him hard. And if you can put him in a bad position like Covington did a few times, that's going to make Usman open up. And we could be in for a real treat. Of course, there's a chance that Usman just says, you know what, I'm putting you on the cage, I'm taking you down. And that's where Masvidal's always struggled. You know, Paul Daly was taking him down in that fight 10 years ago. You know, there was the Ben Askren fight. Askren obviously didn't get a fucking chance to do anything before he got his light switched off. But, you know, Maia got hold of him a few times, took him down. So it's going to be interesting to see how Usman plays this one out. I think there's been a lot of beef between them. So maybe Usman's like, you know what, I just want to fucking kick this guy's head in, make an example of him. But obviously all that changes when you take that big right hand or a big knee. And all of a sudden you're fucking hanging on for dear life.
Well, that was the thing. You know, do you think the psychological battle is, you know, Usman is generally pretty fucking cool, and you know, he's quite a cool character, you know, and I mean his record's nowhere near as extensive. He's got nowhere near the experience or the level really. But I mean his last 4 fights, like you say, so his last 4 fights, he beat Damian Maia 5-round decision. Beat Rafael dos Anjos 5-round decision. Beat Tyron Woodley 5-round decision, and then finished fucking Colby Covington with a cunt hair left in the fight. You know what I mean? Now, Damian Maia, I love Damian Maia, very, very dangerous guy. But again, you know, grinded out the decision. RDA, you know, again, former champion, but, you know, not what he used to be. Tyron Woodley. Now, there was a massive difference, you know, between the Tyron Woodley that beat Darren Till and the Tyron Woodley that fought Usman. Was like a fucking, was totally different. And I think, you know, me personally, I think that Woodley mentally was already on the way out.
Yeah.
Fucking rap records and everything like that. So I personally don't feel that the level of competition that Kamaru Usman faced to win the title and then defend it, because again, Colby Covington's a fantastic fighter and he's, you know, thoroughly deserves to be up there, but he is, you know, he's a grinder and he's not a finisher, and he's not dangerous. And just, you know, Usman is slightly better than Colby Covington at being Colby Covington. So he's nothing, you know, I think that Masvidal, you know, Masvidal's got that ability to fucking switch people off and you know, and really be spectacular. And he's got that finishing ability, which is up here. And I don't think Usman's got it. And I think that Usman isn't as high a quality a champion as other people have been in the past, because it's an easy win to get the title and then an easy win to defend it. So, you know, but like you say, if he does wrestle fuck Masvidal and just, like you say, presses him against the cage, puts him on his back and fucking and works him, it could be, it's either going to be a boring 5-round decision, like a John Fitch did to Paul Daly, or Usman's going to get fucking ironed out. And obviously, you know, I've got nothing against Usman. I really like him as a guy and a champion and whatever. But Masvidal is one of my favourite fighters out there. And I really want, more than anything, to see him come in on 6 days' notice and do a Bisping and fucking smash the cunt out of him and take the title.
Yeah.
That's what
I think, you know, if you're an MMA fan and you can't get behind Masvidal from the past couple of years, like, you need a different sport. And I think for Masvidal, if he's going to do it, if he's going to win the title, it's going to be now, right? It's now or never. He's not going to come back 3 years later. And, you know, it's what a fucking story it would be at the end of the day. Look, I'm not a massive gambler myself, but 4-1 for Masvidal to finish him with strikes. So I'm putting it on that.
Where did you find finishing with strikes?
Yeah.
So I found 3-1 for the finish. It was 2-1 for the straight win, 3-1 for the finish. But again, me not a massive gambler, and a few months ago, in fact many months ago, I deleted all of the gambling apps off my phone because I'm fucking shit at it.
Oh mate, tell me about it.
Funny, that's all I do. However, I was passing the bookies in town yesterday or the day before, and I've fucking pushed the boat out, and I've got myself some £1 accumulators. So, but my bet. So this is what I was. So the next one I was coming on to then. So this is the one I have gone underdog central. So I've got the accumulator on Jorge Masvidal, the underdog, Jose Aldo, the underdog, and Max Holloway, the underdog. So those are like the title fights, the top 3 fights. What are so obviously we've discussed we've discussed the main event. What are your thoughts on Volkanovski and Holloway?
Yeah, I mean, I was surprised how the first fight went. It was very one-sided. I thought Holloway was kind of top of his game. He moved up in weight, obviously lost to Dustin Poirier, but was, on the shout for being one of the best featherweights of all time around that fight happening.
I mean, what he did previously to T City, you know what I mean, was fucking.
Again, was supposed to be like the next big thing, and Holloway, gave the kid a lesson, and you're thinking, well, there's not really anyone who can touch this guy. Volkanovski kind of, it was a really weird one-sided fight, and I don't really like it when the UFC do these immediate rematches all the time when it's not a close fight, but they just seem to be in that habit because I guess it makes them money. So,
but I mean, obviously, he was a champion for so long that he deserves the rematch.
Yeah.
Now, do you think it might have been I mean, look, it might just be that Volkanovski's got his number, or it might be a case of Holloway having a bad night at the office and Volkanovski having a good game plan.
It could be.
Do you think that Holloway has got the ability to overcome and adapt from the first fight?
Well, yeah. I mean, look, the guy, whether he loses this fight and his next 6 fights or whatever else, he's still one of the fucking greats, right? He's an absolutely incredible fighter. So, on any given Sunday, of course he can beat Volkanovski. But, you look at the circumstances around this fight, he's apparently not trained with his team at all. He's been doing fucking Zoom conference calls and he's not been sparring. And I just think Volkanovski's not the guy to go into unless you are absolutely fucking up here in preparation.
Exactly. So, I mean, Volkanovski, I think, has been at Tiger Muay Thai.
Yeah. So he's getting, obviously, I mean, the sparring over there is fucking incredible.
And if he's not been at Tiger Muay Thai, he'll have been fucking back home in New Zealand, fucking sparring, fucking Stylebender, and fucking and fucking what do you call him? So yeah, it's I don't know.
I mean, maybe that's gamesmanship from Holloway. Maybe he has been training and he's trying to bullshit. But if he's telling the truth, I don't fancy his chances. So my pick's Volkanovski. I think he's going to get another one-sided decision.
Yeah. Again, I think you're right. Logically, what you've just said is 100% correct. And but like, there's still that fanboy inside of me wants to see the comeback story and wants to see a trilogy out of it. So I genuinely hope that Holloway wins, because I really like Holloway. He's a sound guy. He's a good dad. He's social media is fantastic, and he just comes across as being. And even when he lost, when he fucking lost to Poirier, he was so gracious in defeat. You know what I mean? He's such a fucking nice guy that I really like. I really like Holloway. But again, got nothing against Volkanovski. Big fan of Volkanovski as well. And what I'd really like to see is, I would like to see Holloway win, but I'd like to see the trilogy, and then it's all up for fucking grabs in the trilogy. But like I say, if Volkanovski wins, it certainly wouldn't surprise me. And then finally, we've got the vacant bantamweight, which is former, obviously, featherweight legend Jose Aldo is taking on Peter Yan. So what's any thoughts on that one, mate?
Well, I'm kind of in the same boat that you were in the previous fight on this one. Big Aldo fanboy. I think he was like the featherweight GOAT. And maybe he still is. That's probably one that's up for debate. But I'm a huge Jose Aldo fan. He's obviously had this comeback at bantamweight. Weirdly enough, actually lost his last fight, but he's getting the title shot anyway because it was so close, and he's such a legend. But a big fan of Peter Yan as well. Obviously, you know, coming up through the sort of East European scene, I saw a lot of him early in his career. He's a great interview. You know, he's always on like European podcasts and stuff. And really, really funny guy, really talented fighter. I think Peter Yan, if he loses, he's got plenty of room to come back. You know, he can go and regroup. You've only lost to fucking Jose Aldo at the end of the day. There's no crying shame about it.
He's only
He can come back. But you know, for Aldo, again, it's probably a do or die situation. I think he's going to get another belt in the UFC. It's going to be now, and I think if Yan beats him, it's a long way back. So the heart says Aldo, the head says Yan.
Yeah, I mean, if you look at Jan's record, the level of competition he's faced is nowhere near as high as obviously Aldo has faced in his time. You know, he beat Uriah Faber. You know, Uriah Faber's never been a champion. He was good, but he weren't all that. You know, Jimmy Rivera, John Dodson, you know, Jin Soo Son. You know, they're decent names. Even fought Ed Arthur, UK fighter. We discussed this last week on ACB. So you know, he's fought on ACB. You know, his only loss was that Magomedov. And then he fought him again and won. You know, reclaimed his loss. So technically, you know, if that cancels that out, so he is technically undefeated. But you know, the level of competition he's faced, and like I say, when Jose Aldo surprised the fuck out of me in the shape that he came in for that bantamweight fight. So obviously everyone was talking about how he looked like fucking death. And do you remember they were putting up pictures of him in training? Yeah. And he was fucking all pale and looked like Beetlejuice and that. And was fucking like that. But yet when he came into the cage, he was fucking ripped to shit. And like I say, he's fought, you know, he fought fucking Marlon Moraes. And, you know, I personally feel he won that fight. A lot of people do. So like you say, he got the title shot on the back of that. And again, I'm a massive one for the big comeback story. So from a pure fanboy, but like, don't get me wrong, I think Peter Yan has got the tools to win. You know, like obviously Aldo is not infallible, as you can see from obviously when he fought Holloway and stuff like that. But I think he's come down in weight. He's rejuvenated. He's in better shape and he's faced better competition. I think out of all of the underdogs, I think Jose Aldo has got by far the best chance of taking that title. So, like I say, I've done an underdog bet of, you know, Masvidal, Holloway and Aldo. But again, you know, they're all underdogs. You know, the favourites have certainly got a fantastic chance of winning. That's why they're favourites. And the bookies don't give away money, do they?
I mean, mate, how fucking good is this card when you three underdogs are fucking back all the way? Jose Aldo and Masvidal. Jesus Christ.
So, yes. So, I mean, I by no means am capable of staying up late to watch a fight these days. I'm normally asleep by 10 o'clock. But I will be awake early Sunday morning, avoiding Facebook like the fucking plague and downloading from a perfectly legal download source in order to watch the fights as if they were live. So, you know, they'll probably be available for download somewhere around 7 a.m. So, you know, by about 10 a.m., I should have watched the fights. And, yeah, and then I'll be chatting shit. So I've got a few others. I'd like to see Rose Namajunas get a win. But, you know, she's already taken that loss against Jessica Andrade. So that's going to be a good one. There's a bit of fight porn with Paige Van Zandt. But I think Paige Van Zandt's going to get ironed the fuck out. Yeah. And then she's probably going to go to Bellator. You've got Volkan Ozdemir, who's probably the top one on the prelims. And then, you know, and then there's a couple of we've got a couple of Brits there. You've got Davy Grant, who will be the first fight. And you've also got Danny Henry fighting as well. So, yeah, I'm fucking absolutely buzzing for this fight card this weekend. So,
yeah, absolutely. That Volkan Ozdemir and Jiri Prochazka fight. Prochazka's come in from Rising in Japan, where he's been knocking guys out. Ozdemir's got like 17 wins with 12 knockouts. Someone's getting fucking banged out there. And like you say, Danny Henry and Makwan Amirkhani, that's going to be a great scrap. And always good to see David Grant in there.
Yeah, So yeah, massive fight card this weekend, and we're absolutely buzzing about it. So yeah, just before we let you go, mate, so I just want to remind all of our viewers that we are sponsored by Fight Central, and you can go to their website, www.fight-central.co.uk, and use the code TheOilCheck for 10% off the entire site. Boom, boom. And if you want to contact us at any time, telephone or text 07510 954 793, email theoilcheck@hotmail.com, and all forms of quality social media, not the kid shit, at The Oil Check. So if you give our viewers your social media handles, we'll have it flash up along the bottom of the screen, and we will get you at least one new follower, I reckon.
I'm going to hold you to that. And if it's Chris Scadden, I want my money back.
Oh yeah, Chris Scadden, also a former cunt of the week, and a big fan of the podcast. So a big shout out to Chris Scadden.
Big up, Scads, my man. Yeah, you can get me at MMA Brad 48. Probably just on Twitter, really, because I don't fucking do anything else.
Yeah, no Instagram.
I've got an Instagram, but I've never posted on Instagram.
All right.
Actually, I posted a picture of a burger once by mistake. But I've just got it to other people. Never. Actually.
And obviously, you are Brad Wharton on Facebook, yeah.
That's the one.
Okay, so and you are a bit of a Twitter aficionado. I mean, how many tweets have you actually got? I mean, I've done about fucking 500 in my life. I don't really go on it that often, but you smash it.
Let's have a look. Fucking hell. How do I get my my tweets up here? Let's have a quick look.
Well, you got about 5,000 followers, haven't you?
Yeah. Well, I did a tweet yesterday that's got 1,220 likes as of right now. So
fuck hell.
I think I've done about 50,000 over the years.
Fuck, you love it, you absolute Twitter whore. So yes, we promise you at least one extra follower that isn't Chris Scadden, the former cunt of the week. So we'll do that for you. All right, mate. So listen, that's all going to come up along the bottom of the screen. Obviously, once it goes live on YouTube, I'll send you through the links, and if you can do me the favour and pimp it out to all of your Twitter followers and also all of your Facebook followers, that would be absolutely fantastic. And we'll try and get a few people watching this absolute gem of a podcast that we've done. And all that's left to say, mate, is a big thank you from me. It's been an absolute pleasure to get you on properly. We've done nearly 2 hours. We normally try and do about an hour and a bit, but time flies when you're chatting shit about UK MMA. So, yeah, it's been an absolute pleasure, mate. So I will let you get back. Your missus has just got back there. So a big say hello to your fucking missus there. Hopefully she's going to be cooking you some dinner. It's about dinner time.
On the way around, mate, I think.
All right. Okay, so listen, mate, it's been an absolute pleasure. And we thank you, and we will bid you a good day.